What's up, guys? My name is Khan, and we're back today with some Railroads Online. I'm joined by my buddy, Heis. How's it going, Heis? You having a good time?
Dude, it is awesome. It is so good to be back. It's been way too long since we've done anything.
Yeah, well, we haven't played
excited.
much in a while, and there's been new updates. There's new splines and stuff, and, you know, I personally was waiting until there were all these new updates out, and then I got bombarded with comments of people saying, listen, a bunch of the updates are out. There's some new locomotives and stuff, so we got to play it. And I figured since we're starting fresh, it would be nice to have a real train expert, you know, join in and we could do some co-op.
I'm really, really excited to help contribute with the real railroad madness and all that sort of
fun stuff. And the good news is, I heard the splines now, they sort of automatically, they automatically kind of align themselves and curve themselves, so we won't have to worry about Heis's absolutely god-awful railroad placement.
I have been told by the users of my Discord that you have to try maliciously to make bad track. Yeah, it's way different than I last played, that's for sure. I haven't played in a long time. I've been busy doing real railroad things.
Yeah, if you guys don't know,
got the gig at the museum, yeah.
Yeah, check out Heis's channel. He works at the Colorado Railroad Museum running real steam locos, so that's kind of amazing. And
yeah, I was actually literally working on Denver and Rio Grande Western 491 today. We were actually fixing something on it for it to run. It's actually running right now as we're recording. Fun fact. But anyways.
Okay, so, there's the incline. Okay, can I still only go up to 10%? Only 10%. All right, so today we're going to go to the logging camp. Obviously, first thing you got to do in this game, pretty much standard. Let's go to the logging. Oh, yeah, or chop down trees. That's
well, you know.
Wow, you're chopping down two at a time.
Two for the price of one. That's kind of exciting. It's very, very fall and festive, but yeah. Start with the logging camp, get the logs, and go from there, right? That's
so
always the mantra.
I guess Heis is going to work on laying out the track all the way to the logging camp. This should actually be a lot quicker than it was before because you can do track and groundwork all at the same time, and everything kind of aligns to a grid.
Longer pieces, right? Because originally, last time, it was just 10 meters of track at a time, and you had to click 1,000,000 times. But now I think, if my memory is serving correctly, I think you could do up to 500 meters at a time.
Per spline, like per
spline, yeah. So
I'm just excited for the game performance, honestly. Like, it should be... And what? I'm really excited to make mountain passes where we curve up the mountains, because making curved tracks that looked really good was always a problem. And now with the auto smoothing, like, it should be pretty good.
I'm pretty excited for that too. That's definitely like my favorite feeling about this game was always building those big mountain passes. Like you feel like a little narrow gauge railroad back in the 1800s.
Yeah. For this playthrough,
doing that, very hard.
Yeah, for this playthrough, I feel like we need to do all the ridiculous things. Like before, I kind of took all the intended routes that were long and like drawn out and stuff. But for this, I feel like we need to build like freight depots straight over the mountain to the iron mine. You know, some crazy stuff like that.
Sometimes you need a little bit of the Uinta Railways madness in your life.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's what we're gonna have to do for that. But anyway, that's all future plans, future episodes. That's like way down the line here.
Yeah, this is gonna be a whole series, hopefully, and hopefully folks enjoy it. I know that I too have gotten a million comments about people asking if I'm ever gonna play Railroads Online again, if I'm gonna do it, you know, or if I'm gonna experience the new engines and all that fun stuff. And I gotta say, for me, the inspiration to come back was I just read this great book that's about the original locomotives from the Denver and Rio Grande and the original engineers from the 1800s, including like the Montezuma, which is a new engine that's in the game, was the first engine that railroad had. The very first one that they bought, brand new.
I should look through the locomotives list, actually. Boxcar,
so it's named... It's named Montezuma. That engine was the first engine for this railroad, and just having that and the feeling of narrow gauge railroading and the excitement of building the alignment, I don't know, it inspired me to come play, and I'm glad that we're here.
Hold on a minute. We got flat car. We got all the cars. They've reskinned all the cars, which is kind of cool. The oil cars. Yep. I personally like the reskins better rather than the bright red. I think the wood color
they look a lot nicer. Yeah,
it looks more authentic, but. They have this thing after the bobber caboose. They have a DSP&P way car.
Yes, that is a Denver, South Park, and Pacific Railroad way car, which is a fancy word for we wanted to be fancy and not call it a caboose.
But it doesn't. So it doesn't have. It's basically a caboose without the observation top.
It doesn't have the cupola. Yes, the cupola is the little thing on top, the observation area. And the Denver, South Park, and Pacific, when they originally built their way cars, did not have those. And later they actually got added, and one of those way cars still exists, and it's at my museum.
So
the CNS 1009 is what it is known as these days. It's actually in the shop getting some work.
So basically, it's just a brake car is really where
it's just a brake car. It's where your end of train crew would hang out. Back in this era, you'd have at least 5 men train crews: engineer, fireman, 2 brakemen, and a conductor.
Right. And
your conductor and rear brakeman would hang out in the caboose, and everyone else would be up by the engine.
All right. So since we're playing co-op and multiplayer, if we're not running 2 trains simultaneously, I feel like we need to run, like, we're playing on realistic physics, so I feel like we need to run long trains and have proper brakemen, you know, make some real aggressive mountain routes that require brakemen, and then actually, you know, act like brakemen. You know what I mean? I feel like that would just be...
That's the way to do it.
Be amazing.
That is the way that the railroad would have done it. And they would have had, if we're going to run long trains, I mean, they would have had 2 or 3. So perhaps we'll have to grab some other familiar faces and really do this thing once the railroad gets underway.
Yeah, but we'll have to do some weight calculations. I don't know if those have changed at all or not compared to what they were.
Well, so I think that with the reskinning of the cars are slightly different prototypes, some of them. So I think they are a little bit different weight. So it's not going to be just as it was before, but the principle will be the same. You know, the tractive effort that the locomotive can produce. You know how much the cars and the cargo weighs, and then you do the math.
Dude, I'm already in love with the new splines. I've placed like 3 switches and screwed all of them up. I'm trying to just figure out how I want to do this, but I already love the new splines. This is so amazing. The fact they're grid placed now as well, and the fact that they just feel good, you know? It's hard to explain.
Yeah, last I played, the splines were just coming into the beta, and it seemed really, really promising. So I'm excited to see how the trains interact with the new splines. I haven't really seen it. I haven't watched too many videos. I've been really busy with the real trains.
I played when the spline beta first came out. I played it once for a video, but I was kind of disappointed because all you could do at the time was just like set up a track, and like things like the engine firebox didn't even work and stuff like that. So you're really just sort of, you know, not really doing too much. And I was like, well, this is kind of disappointing. So I waited and waited until, and now everyone was like, oh man, the splines they're actually out and they're perfect. So get on that. Which
I'm excited to see how it all works out, because, you know, this game really does something that no other game does, and it really gets the feel of railroading in that era. It gets it pretty well, and it's one of my favorite games. So I'm happy we're here playing.
Okay, Dude, unbelievable. I just linked a track that was like 100 meters long, and like from a switch to a straight piece, and it just perfectly curved, like made a perfect curve. Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
It's so good. Like a perfect.
So you're telling me I have a chance?
Yeah, of laying flat track. Maybe it might be. Yeah, just setting up these initial switches, I like extended straight out from the middle line, and then just got to a point where I'm like, I'll make my switch branch off here, and it just looks so smooth without any effort. It's unbelievable.
Well, I'm excited because that means, you know, smooth track means we'll be able to send it and run these things hard and see if we can really run tonnage
anymore.
You know?
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know how fast the trains go now.
That's true. It's going to be purely based on our weight that we're pulling on them then, right? Like it should be...
Yeah, exactly. Because the principle behind a steam locomotive and the way that it works, a lot of people say that they can pull trains that they can't start. I.e., once you get the reciprocating mass and rotating mass of the pistons and the wheels moving, it's very hard to get the steam engine to stop. It wants to keep pulling, but getting it rolling can be challenging sometimes.
How does that work in real life? So in a car, right? Because a lot of people are like, why does your car always spin in one direction? Like, why does the engine in a car not spin backwards? And the answer is really simple. A car has a big flywheel, which is like a big weight, and it uses an electric starter motor to push that weight in one direction, and momentum keeps it going in the same direction. But how do you do that on a steam locomotive? Because you've got weight on the wheels, which I'm assuming is what they use as like the momentum carrier. Like, they don't have a flywheel on a steam engine, right? So how does it force the rotation in the starting direction every time?
Well, so there's 2 sets of pistons, basically. When you look at a steam engine, there's a total of 4 pistons, 2 that supply power and 2 that help control when the power fires. You have basically what is like a steam overhead camshaft equivalent in what's called the valve, and that determines when the steam is admitted to the actual piston that provides the power. And then there's 2 pistons, one on each side on most locomotives, and they are offset at a 90-degree rotation on the wheel set. And the wheel sets of a steam locomotion, the wheel sets of a steam locomotive are much like the crankshaft on your standard internal combustion engine.
Right.
And so your wheels are your crank and your wheels are your weight, and the wheels are counterweighted. And so you have the Johnson bar in the cab, commonly known as the reverser by a lot of people around the world. And that allows you to pick which side of the piston the steam is going to be admitted to based on the boundary conditions of all of the different rods that make up the valve gear. I've got a great hour-long video called Steam 101 on the channel that dives into that.
You might have to give me the link
aids.
for that, because I understand what you're talking about, but I feel like without visuals, it's going to be very hard for people to...
You need the visuals of that stuff, yeah. So definitely recommend you check that video out. Wink, wink.
Yeah, it's for me, steam locomotives have always been fascinating just because they're pure mechanics. They're pure mechanical systems. There's no software that gives you any sort of assistance. There's no electronic stuff that lets you, cheat the system. Let's say it's like it's either going to work or it's not, like every other mechanical system. And if it doesn't, well, you're screwed.
Yep, that's exactly the truth with these things. And my favorite thing about them is that they don't hide anything. They show you everything. You see the engine, you see the rods, you see the wheels, you see how it works. It's not like a car or a diesel locomotive where everything's tucked in and hidden away from everything. All of the mechanics are in view, and you can see the madness of the machinery that really makes a steam locomotive come to life. And you're definitely right. You would be surprised at how precise some of that stuff has to be on these locomotives.
Oh, absolutely.
We were just recently doing some repair work on one of our steam engines that operates at the museum, the Rio Grande Southern number 20. And 20, back in her day, working for the Rio Grande Southern, was just absolutely beat to death. It was the railroad's favorite engine. It was the one that always ran, and it always ran until they parked it. And then when they donated it to the museum in the early 1950s, someone from the railroad came to the museum and said, "Never fire this engine up." And it's like, oh, okay, that's okay. And so, lots of dollars later, it got restored and everything. But there was a couple old wounds from the railroad that the railroad had fixed, and they were deemed safe repairs and everything. But, you put some miles on something and things fail.
It's like when the narrator comes in, but they were not safe repairs.
But they were not safe repairs. And it wasn't that they weren't safe, but, some steam started to leak out of the engine, and we had to take a bunch of stuff apart. And we had to machine a bunch of custom parts because everything had to be custom fit, and everything had to be within a 32nd of an inch over distances of like 3 or 4 feet.
Right.
So you're talking about some extreme precision for a locomotive that was built in 1899.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So it's kind of insane what goes into making a steam locomotive work.
But these old steam locomotives, when they were built, they would have been like cast iron and then hand assembled, like hand built after that, hand machined and all that stuff, right? There wouldn't have been any sort of high levels of automation with this stuff.
Precisely. I mean, everything was made by hand. What wasn't cast was probably forged. Like the rods were usually drop forged on a giant scary hammer that would have, maimed anyone who didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, most everything early on was cast iron or rolled iron or steel, depending on what the oldest engine we actually have at the museum was built in 1880. And everyone always says, "Why don't you make that one run? It looks so good. It looks so cool." Well, that's the point of restoration,
built in 1880, folks. Guys. I don't know what the...
Yeah. So the boiler was made out of wrought steel. And the way that they made wrought steel introduces a lot of air pockets amongst the grain structure of the steel. And it's a pressure vessel. So it means that if you suddenly wear through to an air pocket, you could suddenly blow the locomotive up at the drop of a hat, which is not good. So that's why it doesn't run.
I just spent all that entire conversation you were working on laying out one piece of straight track. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I'm almost to the logging camp with cutting down trees.
Actually,
so
you're so fast. Wait, you haven't laid track yet, though?
I have not laid any track. I'm just cutting down trees.
Right.
Yeah.
But laying track should be pretty quick because you can just go spline, done.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I don't know exactly how the gradient piece of it's going to work, and we've got the cutest little baby hill on the way into the logging camp. So
well, the gradient,
I guess I will figure that out.
It's all numpad, it seems. So if you have a keyboard without a numpad, get wrecked. But
I think you can rebind all the controls these days. I think there's been more support for that added at least. But I do have a 10 key, so I will be okay.
Yeah, I got the numpad as well. I'm actually, what I'm doing this time is I'm going to put a bow yard on the freight depot side that is aligned with the what's it called? The side that we start on, like the spawn side.
Gotcha.
I'm going to try and put a bow yard over there, maybe like 3 or 4 lanes, just so we have a little bit of shunting space initially, and then like a big loop on the far end that turns it all around and brings it back, so we can go back out the same line that we come in.
I like the sound of that. That sounds like efficient railroading.
Yeah, that's all I got so far. I haven't actually connected them up or anything, but I've got a straight line that goes next to the freight depot, so we'll be able to drop off goods. And now I'm just going to try and do my switch trick to get a bow yard to come out.
I'm getting lost in the woods. You know, they're unfamiliar to me, being that they're all, I think these are all aspen trees these days for the fall variety. It's kind of I do like that touch that the seasons come out. It's kind of neat to get the different foliage and everything.
I kind of wish they had like pine trees in the mountains, you know.
Yeah, the mix would be cool.
And then like the really cool deciduous trees down on the ground and so on and so forth, right? Like.
Well, okay. the aspens, I mean, if this is trying to be Colorado, which a lot of the locomotives are of that locale, at least that are in the game so far, the aspens are kind of mixed in, you know, spritzed throughout compared to the pines. It's really, really pretty around here in this time of year. The amount of colors you get in the fall colors with the aspens turning gold amongst all the pines is like, it's really, really beautiful.
I can't remember how I did this switch trick, so...
Well, then it's been done once, and there it is, ladies and gents.
Well, remember I used to make like perfectly straight shunt yards. Like I came in and I was like, guys, like everyone was like 3-foot rail doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm like, no, it has to be.
If it can be, it will.
Right. So I used to do like a switch trick to make all my lines perfect. I think it's only on the far end that I needed the switch trick to realign them, I think. I remember my first track to the logging camp took like Dapper and myself 7 hours to lay out, and this is like 2 minutes.
Yep, this is nothing. I'm done cutting down trees. I'm at the logging camp, and I'm gonna place my first stretch of rail here.
Perfect.
And yeah, that's way too easy. And you know, the procedural ties do look really good. I really enjoy.
And the fact that they're built into the groundwork, you don't have like, sometimes you have the weird ties that stick out from the groundwork, and then you have to go fix all the groundwork and the seams. Oh my God, the groundwork seams. Oh yeah. I can't describe how painful that was.
Yeah. It was really weird previously because you'd just lay your track, you know, on top of the groundwork, and then some people would sink the groundwork in by like doing another pass.
Right.
And I could hardly stand to make the first pass at the railroad because, you know, I was bad at it.
Yeah, let alone the second pass, right? Like,
right.
Yeah, forget it.
So I never did that, and it always looked weird to me because the whole principle of having the groundwork and then the ballast is so that you can hold the track in place.
Right.
If you don't have ballast and you try to run a train with ties just laid on ground, you're going to have a bad time. I mean, you should see what a locomotive will do to the rail when it wants to move it.
So what about all these, like I see all these rails built in cities, especially in like Japan and stuff, and they use like the concrete ballast that's actually tied in to like bolted in. Does that, because ballast needs to move, doesn't it?
It's called direct fixation track rather than ballasted track when you do that. And I have a little experience dealing with it from my time working for a light rail commuter agency. We built a bunch of light rail extensions around my old hometown. But so the way that it works is that, you know, the track is anchored, and it's actually rigidly anchored with those special clips at each of those locations so that there's no degrees of freedom at each one of those clips. The clip, it doesn't just hold it straight down. It prevents it from moving left, right, up, down, or rotating in any direction with the way that they're designed.
But as the train comes by, I mean, stuff likes to move. How does it handle the fact that the train...
Super heavy duty rail and lots of clips and lots of clips.
It's just rigid. It's just rigid.
It's just rigid as heck. And then it is designed in mind so that, you know, you never get excessive lateral or vertical forces on the alignment. You have gradual curves, both vertically and horizontally, to make sure that you're not overstressing that very rigid structure.
That's crazy.
All right. Remember when they were saying it's really hard to lay like bad track?
Did you already do it? Did you lay bad?
I'm already really good at this game, guys.
Oh my God.
I'm not a civil engineer. This is a kink. This is what we define in the industry.
We're gonna be going faster too, so your kinks are gonna be worse. You gotta smooth that out. You know.
I will relay this just so that you can watch my video and you can see the sadness that I created. Okay.
Meanwhile, here I am. I've already got a 4-lane bow yard set up outside the freight depot. We can store.
Well, I had lots of trees to cut down, man. Okay. Do you understand? True. The entire map is forest.
Dude, this is unbelievable. How I'm blown away with how easily you can make parallel shunt lanes now.
Yeah,
we're gonna shunt everything, bro. We're gonna have a shunt lane at every place. Lumber mill, shunt lane. Logging camp, shunt lane. What do you everywhere? We need shunt lanes galore. We need like 6,000 shunt yards. You know what I mean? Like, this is awesome. It looks so
dude,
good.
That's pretty prototypical because, you know, you got to have a place to store your equipment and you got to have stuff, you know, places to get stuff out of the way when it breaks. So,
yeah,
I mean, pretty much
that was my biggest problem with my last playthrough is that, like, the logging camp, I didn't have any shunt lanes. So if I came in with a second train, you're screwed. You got one track and you've blocked it up. So we'll definitely have to do...
We are stacked in.
Yeah. We'll have to do a lot more of that. Now the million-dollar question is, how do curves work in this game?
So I've just been placing them freehand with the 10-degree snap-on, and it's going okay, but I did make that kink. Apparently, circle mode is where you can lock the track to a perfect circle of your specification.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do.
And that's probably the smart move out there. I like freehanding because, you know, I have problems.
Oh, yeah, it does move.
You know.
If you give it a radius, alignment 270, yeah, the starting alignment's 270, circle mode on, edit curve radius, edit gradient. So if I edit the curve radius, it's not by degrees anymore, it's by the total curve radius.
Interesting.
So it's like, it defaults to 1,000 meters, so 1 kilometer curve radius.
That is unheard of on the narrow gauge, just saying.
And then it tells, 1,000 meters, it's like barely any. And then it tells you the length of the member that you're placing, but it doesn't matter because it constantly adjusts the curve. So, okay, so what would be a normal, like, shunt yard? Because you said last time it was like 30 degrees is too much, right?
Yeah, so like a true 30-degree curve is really sharp, and that's for later on the narrow gauge. Like my big engine that we were working on today, 491, has a maximum of 30 degree. Anything past 30 degree, and she starts to get mad.
Right.
But these littler engines can do, you know, more than that. But 30 is definitely an amenable goal.
Hold on, I'm gonna bust out some math.
We're getting the math out. We're getting crazy, boys.
Yeah, I gotta get the math. Gotta bust out the Google
Hang
spreadsheets.
On, I'm saving you. I'm saving you from the math. I'm sending you a thing.
Oh, do you have a sheet for it that actually?
I have a sheet. This is degree to feet and meters.
Oh God, you're a lifesaver.
So yeah, so a 30 is a 59-ish meter radius.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna download this and throw this up on the screen.
Yeah, that's definitely a super helpful asset.
Radius in meters, 87. Okay, yeah. So if I go with a 100 meter radius, we're gonna be somewhere around 17 and a half, 18 degrees.
That's plenty. That is
for like any engine. Yeah. That should be plenty.
Any engine will do that. I mean, even a lot of standard gauge engines would do that.
Right.
So.
Even if I put it at like 200 meter radius, it's gonna be, or like 150. That's still huge.
Yeah.
When you guys, so narrow gauge railroad, if you have a spot that's too tight to turn around, then they make an engine turnaround, right? Where they'll take the steam engine off, turn it around, hook it up to the front of the cars, and then just bring it, or they just go backwards and not care.
Yeah, you just run around the cars and run tender first if you're a tender engine, or cab first if you're a tank engine, whatever you got to do to just make it work. And sometimes they did crazier things. There's in one of the recent videos on my channel, I talked about the book that inspired me to want to play again. And it has all these amazing stories from the narrow gauge. And I can't read them word for word because, copyright and stuff. But there was a bit on the Denver South Park and Pacific, the one that has the way car in the game, where their train got stuck at the top of the hill, top of the mountain. They got snowed in. Avalanche came in ahead of them, behind them. The tunnel was blocked. And they realized that they were going to have to turn around and go back home. But because another avalanche came in behind them, they couldn't back up because they had a caboose on the end. They didn't have an engine with a snowplow.
Right.
And so they just jacked up the locomotive onto the ice and oiled the track and the ice and spun the locomotive around by hand.
Like across the track?
Across the track. They just picked it up, put it on ties by hand, and then spun the locomotive around so it faced the other way, and then put it on the other end of the train.
Can you imagine trying to do that kind of thing with like modern safety regulations? Like, can you imagine?
You couldn't. You physically could not.
You'd have like 6 union guys down there being like, "Bruh, you can't do this."
There's just no way. It's amazing the stuff that they used to do with these old machines. This is what we got to do. Oh my god.
Literally inventing the word YOLO at the time.
Literally.
They're just like, whatever, this is gonna work, I guess, maybe.
I suppose the other option for them at the time was wait until a snowslide hit them and buried them and knocked them off the mountain. So, I mean, I get the thought of like, okay, yeah, no, maybe we should fix this. But
right.
Insanity what they did.
I just laid an S-bend in one track. One spline. I didn't even click in the middle of the S-bend. I just go click at the start, click at the finish, and it naturally draws the proper curve between them.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Someone did some math, and they're probably proud of it.
No, that's amazing. They perfectly line up the start and end of the tracks, and then they make the sharpest smooth corner between those points. It seems like the math that they're doing.
Yeah, it's really smart. Mathematician
really
people
beautiful.
are scary. Old habits die hard because I'm laying track the way that I used to, and haphazardly and freehand. And I'm sure that my audience is probably just yelling at me like, "Come on, can't you have the power now, Heist? What are you doing?" Well, and I'm saying, "I'm building this railroad, son."
Basically, we hired like a professional team to do the shunting area. And then we went with the lowest bidder for the rest of the track.
Hey, man. Sometimes the lowest bidder is the ones that makes it happen. So
listen, I'm in Canada, okay? I live in Canada, right? And I used to work a long time ago. I worked on a bunch of government projects as an engineer. And so I had a lot of experience with dealing with the lowest bidders. And let me tell you, I don't know why we're still going with the lowest bidder. It's just, it's so bad. It
doesn't make sense at this point.
It's always bad. They're like, we're going to save money. And it's like, no, you're not. You are not going to save. I promise you will not.
Things.
Yeah.
Seriously.
They will put it together in half the time for half the price, and we will fix it 5 times as often. So please tell me where the math works.
Basically. Oh, lordy. That's great.
I'm just excited to honestly have some more engines. The game definitely was lacking engine diversity.
And now we've got a bunch more, I think. So they added an 060, the Class 48, I think it is. They added the Montezuma, which is a 240, which is supposed to be super quick, the Rio Grande's first engine. And then they added the Glenbrook, which is a pretty hefty 260 Mogul. They added
For those who don't know, because I learned some things, okay? The numbers, right, is front wheels, drive wheels, like leading wheels, drive wheels, trailing wheels, not including tenders.
Correct, yeah. The wheel sets, or the wheels themselves on the locomotive. So 260 has 2 lead wheels, it has 6 driving wheels, and it does not have any wheels behind the driving wheels supporting the weight of the firebox.
And if you had like a 2440, that would be 2 sets of 4 drive wheels with no trailing, 2 leaders.
Yeah, when you get 4, you start to get into duplex or articulated locomotives where they've got more than one engine, which is getting crazy. We haven't seen one of those in the game yet, but they're pretty neat. So I'm hoping that we will see some someday.
Do those exist on narrow gauge though, or are they only?
They did. They were quite the number of articulated and duplex engines on the narrow gauge. There was all sorts of fascinating prototypes. So It's going to be exciting to see what eventually ends up in the game. The benefit of narrow gauge was, being able to do tight turns in the mountains and have to blast less rock out the way.
Right.
Standard gauge, you have to have something like 10 plus 12, 15 feet sometimes of clearance. And so that's a lot of rock to carve away when you're trying to build, a little railroad to go up to the mining town up, through the canyon. And so narrow gauge, they could build these super tight turns and hug the cliff faces. And so rather than making a longer engine with more and more drive wheels, an articulated engine that can flex in the middle is actually the ideal solution for bigger narrow gauge power if you really needed to put that amount of power down.
Alrighty, Heist. I finished
it's that moment.
Yeah, I finished the freight depot area, and I'm assuming you finished the rest going out that way. We'll have to see.
I have, yes. That runs all the way past the sawmill. Pay no attention to the alignment at the log pond, please.
Oh, perfect. I'm excited.
It's fine. And the grade, pay no attention to the couple of grade changes. It's fine. It's still fine. Don't even worry about it. And then this is the other end here. So like this piece that you've done, this is not main track. So this isn't special yet. But this is the last piece.
Yes, it's the connected. Well, technically this is a loop, so you could go in either way and come out.
Well,
either side.
by railroad timetable on whatever we decide to name this railroad, which people are gonna have to comment what they think we should.
Yeah,
we should
I
name
was
the
just
railroad.
about to say we need some suggestions in the comments on what to name this railroad. Because my previous one was the Straight Line Railco. Yours was the Eat Questionable Language and Die Railroad.
Yes, the ES&D, the good old ES&D.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I honestly don't know what to name this railroad, to be honest. I have
but definitely would love suggestions. But this is the last piece of an alignment. This is the golden spike moment. We're doing the thing.
Yeah.
We're connecting the main line.
I'm trying to figure out how to, while you do that. Sorry, not to I'm just trying to figure out.
This is a big moment, Con.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm missing the moment. There we go, I fixed it. All right. Let's see your big... No, it's still not fixed. Look, there's like a weird texture glitch with this embankment here.
Yeah, so I saw that with the embankment. Like
Yeah.
the end caps are the height if there were track, but then the rest of it
It's because the
isn't.
switch embankment doesn't go low enough. But then you know what? We're just going to leave it. It's just a floating switch. Don't worry about it. Oh, look at that.
Look
golden,
at that. Look at
amazing.
that. Golden spike. Super. Oh, yeah.
That's like the cleanest looking curve I've ever seen you lay, ever.
Dude, the computer did it for me. That's the
Yeah,
only
I know,
reason why. This actually looks like a really smart setup. This is probably... I have thought a lot about yard design in this game and how to make good functional yards. And I studied and I know railroad things, and you've just gone and built a better one than I ever did. So congrats.
I'm gonna cheat a little bit and just re-rail this out of the way. Thank you. Have a good day.
Sold.
Because
We
I don't
don't
know
have
why
any
they put
pressures
that.
yet.
I don't know why they put that in
water's-
front of Betsy. It's annoying, but it is what it is.
The kettle's almost on. We almost have a boil. Dude, Betsy, she's a little cutie. Little Class B porter. Super cute, itty bitty choo choo. Yeah, Betsy's great. I'm excited.
We're gonna need firewood depot at some point in time as well.
We are.
I forgot about that, and we're gonna need a switch off line for the firewood depot so we can load up the other side. I forget about all these things. You're good. Yeah, keep going. Well, I guess you could stop there, right? We should just buy some locos.
Oh yeah, you could just buy some cars and stick them behind me.
There's one. I'm buying just regular flat cars, right?
Oh no, they're just they won't have names. They'll be forever unlettered.
No, they can't be. They can't be. We don't know the name of the railroad yet. I mean,
yeah, that's true. We don't know the name.
Can't assume.
We're the unnamed Betsy railroad company for now, I guess.
Yeah, brakes on this back one, so it should stop you.
We shouldn't
Oh
go too,
no, it did not
crazy.
have enough braking power.
It's
okay.
fine. It's fine. I like to send. You know.
All right, hold on a minute. Let me hook you up. You're good.
All right.
All right,
Taking
forward.
them ahead.
How many cars do you think?
I mean, however many we can afford, probably.
Well, we can afford a lot because I have $2,000 and you have $2,000. The problem is.
Oh, so maybe we should save one of the copies of $2,000 to buy another locomotive, probably.
Yeah,
so maybe
in like the next
buy
episode
you buy
or
as many
something?
cars as you can, and then I'll buy us the first locomotive once we deliver things. I guess that would probably be the easiest way to level up.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
have 5 cars, yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna max out all my money on cars, and like if we can't pull it, we can't pull it. This should be a flat enough grade though.
It's like there's a smidge of 1.5%, but the rest of it's like 0.5%. So Betsy.
But is it going
Betsy
up or
should be able
going
to do
down?
it.
Because if we're coming back,
Oh, so loads will be going down, but empties will be going up. So we should be okay.
all right, you're good. You go forward, and then I'll shift you over to this one. I love how you're blowing the whistle as if like there's anybody else in the railroad that will care.
I need to let everyone know that I'm going to move. It's
Yeah.
for safety.
On this giant
and
empty
danger.
rail that's just for me.
Pretty much.
It's very important that you all know I'm moving.
Bow to me and my whistle.
All right, hold on.
Oh man, I had a smidge of popcorn and I thought you threw the switch under the train for a brief second.
No, I didn't. It's good. I think we're okay. Good. Brakes off. Brakes off. Brakes off. Off. Yep. Good.
Highball!
Good. Good. All right, I'm just gonna run ahead and make sure we're switched okay.
I'm
I
gonna chase
honestly
after
don't
you
know.
with me and my train.
I think you're faster than me though.
I guess we'll find out.
I think you're catching up. All right, looks
The
like you're
chuffs
good.
sound like they used to. It doesn't look like we're going too terribly much faster than we were able to before.
We're good on this switch anyway.
We've got one more to find out, so I guess
Yeah.
we'll see.
I'm just gonna slow down a bit for the next switch. I'm gonna throw this because once you're past, there's no reason for us to need.
Right, yeah, precisely.
This
Reline
one
it
should-
to the main. Good
Yeah,
man.
this one should always be on the main.
And the looks like the next switch is lined for us, so I'm just gonna.
You
kinda
sure you're
keep
not gonna pull
posting.
like a steam accident like happened there at that other place? I don't remember.
No, we are not committing any safety accidents today if we can avoid it.
All right, perfect.
This isn't the ES&D. We're not trying to do things like that.
I just realized I gotta turn down my master again because like as soon as you start chugging along with trains, it gets really loud.
Yeah, the trains are loud. I forgot how loud they are.
Yeah. All right, we're good. Oh, what?
I jumped out to turn mine down too.
Oh, okay, okay.
And
Oh,
it
oh, no,
like
I'm-
yeeted
okay.
me out of the cab.
Here we go. Okay, hold on. All right, I'm good.
You've got it. You've
I
got it. Take
under
over.
Control.
Oh, I'm popcorning in and out of the cars. It's fine.
Well, this isn't too bad of a fill. I'm not mad about this.
Yeah, this is not the bad part.
You got like a
This is-
kink up there though that you could easily iron out just by deleting the lines between the corners. Although to be honest, in terms of heist kinks, this is like a 1. You know, you've had some you've had
Out
some
of 10,
14s
this is
before.
not much.
Yeah, no, this is pretty mellow.
This is tame.
You don't even
There-
notice
there-
it on the cars, really. Like,
There was a really bad one earlier that yeah, you'll have to watch my POV to get that because I deleted it because it was bad enough that I was mad about it.
oh
which means
my,
it was bad.
okay, this is on the other hand, this could be.
Well, you know, sometimes the angle of the grid snap didn't make sense and you didn't realize it until you got through it, and then you look back and went, well, that looks like crap. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's still gonna work. All you have to do is delete the splines in the middle of the curves and then go
and
curve
then
the
just
curve.
straighten them again. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it'll work.
Should be
great.
really easy to fix. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's the nice thing. It's no more pain of like deleting 1,000 segments and then having to redo it. Now it's
See,
just like, oh yeah, I deleted the 4 and then added
That's
1
what
or
this
2
game
back.
should have. If they have rocks, like random rocks, then it's like, okay, he swerved, left and right to avoid the giant rock.
Yeah,
but,
avoid the boulder field.
Yeah. Oh,
Get
this
at
is
your dynamite.
this is amazing how you just.
That's the alignment that don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Don't
we'll
worry.
have to-
We
we might
filled
have
onto
to-
the dock. The dock is now structurally a part of the railroad. It's fine.
oh my
Here's
god.
the 1.5%.
The fill here is this is
They had a
it's
lot of money for
it's a
ballast.
spicy fill.
They had a lot of money for ballast. Okay.
You know, it
It's
actually doesn't look bad. I'm not mad about it, to be honest. I'm not. It's beauty.
This
Since
is-
we're doing this as a nice, like, a complete co-op world, right? I feel like there's much less responsibility for me to make perfect-looking track.
Yes, because any track you make will look perfect compared to mine. That's
Well,
how
no,
this works.
But even then, I feel like throughout this playthrough, I think I'll probably focus more on like the shunting areas and less on the track between the shunting areas. You know?
Oh boy.
Like I could focus
he's putting
on.
me up to the task.
And that's what I'm thinking. I
gentlemen.
think I could focus on like building up the shunting area around the sawmill and being like, all right, Heist, here's the input, here's the output. Figure out how we get to those. You know, and like what it ends up like is what it ends up like.
It's gonna be interesting. People will just have to live in fear of what I will create next.
Yeah, exactly. Although to be honest, we don't seem to be going too fast with Betsy. I'm assuming the top speed of a train is driven by like the length of the arm, the size of the wheel, and how fast it can actually move the piston in and out, right? Like there's going to be a theoretical max speed of every engine.
That is very true. So the age-old adage that they use on the railroad is that for every inch of driver diameter, you get about a mile an hour of speed for top speed. This turned out like crap.
Yeah, this turns a little aggressive.
That's a little fine. But yeah, about a mile an hour per inch of driver diameter, a little bit less on the small end and a little bit more on the big end.
Right.
And so Betsy has 24-inch drivers, so she was probably doing the 17 mile an hour that we're doing. That's probably actually her top speed.
Right. That curve looks a little spicy for bigger engines.
Yeah, that whole section there, I laid it and I didn't look back, and I should have.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
think for Betsy it's fine, but for bigger
yeah,
engines,
Betsy in these cars, all this is fine, but yeah, this is not my finest work. Maybe I should try circle mode.
Oh, dumb question.
Yes.
Also, I found circle mode. It's good. It's going to be very difficult. So we're going backwards on the way back. We didn't.
I guess so. Yeah, I just built the. Actually, I didn't even make the track long enough.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, no. Okay,
I
I'll go stretch that out a little bit further.
Oh, okay. The brake. You left the brake on, right?
Yeah, the brake's on. Yeah, it should be. Interestingly enough, I think we're gonna hit this house.
You almost spotted that perfectly. Almost. Train handling wise, it actually works out because the biggest thing when train handling, which is the fancy word for making sure you don't break stuff when you run a train, the biggest thing is managing tension and compression.
Right.
So you want to keep all of the couplings, whether they're link and pin or couplers, either slack or in buff. Or slack or buff or in tension is the opposite answer. And so we can keep them all in tension with Betsy on the uphill side of the train using Betsy's brake.
Or we'd have to use the last car's brake if we were doing it the other way.
Yeah, in compression or in buff. Yeah, exactly.
But modern train couplers, they absorb compression and tension. They don't care.
Yeah, I mean, you could do both even with link and pin. You can do both, and that's okay. It's just, you need to kind of pick one or the other, and then try not to go between them, and try not to go between them too hard, because that's when you broke things with link and pin, and that's also when you broke things with the real railroad these days too. So
they would always prefer on downhills to be under tension, right? Because you get more control that way.
Tension is, well, back in the day, tension was better because you could set up the brakes on the train with your automatic brake.
Even though compression is like a million times stronger.
Compression is stronger, and these days they actually do compression brake on modern railroads because they use the dynamic brakes on the diesel more often than they use air brakes these days.
Right.
Which is using the motors as generators.
As generators to generate power. Yeah, that's crazy. Because I remember like when I was in engineering and learning about all that stuff, and I mean I'm sure you did too. We did a lot of mods was the course. Mechanics of deformable solids. So that was
boy.
Yeah, that was an exciting course, and we had to take 2 of them. And basically the course is really simple. Every material in the universe has an elastic and a plastic zone. So people don't realize, like, it's like if you take a paper clip, for example, and if you take a paper clip and you ever so slightly bend it, it will restore to its original shape on its own. Like, I'm talking like barely any bend, and the math is 0.02% of yield stress is equal to the maximum force you can put on something and have it stay in its elastic zone. Where it was interesting is if you think about it, a piece of metal the width of a nickel can hold up an entire car as long as it's under compression. And it's the amount of compressive force it takes to bend something is insane, but only if it's a perfect 100% 90-degree vertical compression. As soon as you have any sort of lateral force on it, it becomes a whole... It's like if you take a pop can, you can stand on a pop can, but if you tap the side, it completely collapses.
Exactly. That's a great way to put that.
Right, and with trains, you would think it's the same thing, because as long as you have something under compression, it's incredibly strong. But then when you put something under tension, it wants to pull apart very easily.
Yeah, thankfully the tension that we experience with couplers and links and pins, almost always, it's designed so that it is just what we call an axial load.
Yeah.
It's only pure tension or only pure compression. So there's no bending unless something has gone entirely wrong.
Right.
So
and
that's
the
what
amount
really
of force on the size of that member would have to be so large that the material always stays within the elastic zone when it's under tension. So it always, if it's under tension, it'll pull apart by like a millimeter or a fraction of a millimeter or whatever, and you could measure it, but you won't really see it visually. But then as soon as you remove the load from it, that link will actually like shrink back to its original size.
Exactly.
And we're talking fractions of an inch because metals are so strong, but truly everything will slightly pull apart and everything will come back together, which is just so fascinating.
Yeah, but this is your quick intro to mechanics of materials with Heiss and Khan. Welcome.
Yeah. Well, we're both mechanical engineers, so I mean we have to, drop some of the wonderful knowledge.
We gotta drop the jargon and the lingo here and there. Yeah. Ooh, Young's modulus. Ooh.
So train wheels, right? They're a straight axle, goes across the wheels, and then the axle's held.
Yep.
So they don't care about the inside wheel moving faster than the outside wheel. They just let it slip.
No, they do. And there's a neat thing, and I just actually did 2 videos on this subject.
Oh my God,
on the
you got
channel
you got a video for everything.
I do. It's almost like trains are important to me, and that's the whole point of my channel.
Yeah.
So the wheel sets on the train, the 2 wheels, they're tapered.
Right.
It's about a 15-degree taper. And so what happens is as you go around a curve, the wheel rides so that if you have a single wheel set, the wheel rides to the outside so that the outside wheel, which is traveling a longer distance, gets the larger radius to actually engage with the rail. And then the inside wheel gets the smaller radius on the wheel to engage because it's tapered.
But wouldn't that mean that you would technically, like, your train would lean slightly inside or slightly outside with
Correct.
that?
Yep.
With that setup?
That's what it does.
But
and
like,
sometimes
it's not that much to notice, or is it a couple inches, or would you even?
You can notice it depending on, and actually sometimes, I assume we're loaded and I can go.
Yeah,
back,
we're
right?
loaded. You can. I didn't hear any whistles. I was just about to say I didn't hear the
there you go.
whistles. You gotta let people know you're going backwards for this.
Right.
Huge...
Gotta let the whole forest know that we're on the way down the mountain
track.
with this. So yeah, no, actually some tracks are actually purposefully elevated to help accentuate that and help keep forces to a minimum laterally around the curve. So they're actually super elevated to help even further, like it's banked like a racetrack.
Right.
Not much, a couple inches at most, but yeah. The latest video that I actually put out this morning as we record this was filming every single wheel on our big steam engine, the 491. And so I put a camera down right above the railhead where it was about to be crushed by every wheel to watch each wheel as it goes around the railroad.
Oh,
and you can watch as the wheels pivot and do the dance that they do as they come in and out of curves. And it was some of the most fascinating footage I've ever captured. That's my favorite thing about what I get to do these days working for the museum and being on YouTube, is that I get to study these locomotives like no one ever has. Ever in history
with all the
before.
modern cameras and stuff. This corner, by the way,
no
it feels spicier with the logs like weighing.
The logs and the loads.
log
So,
weight,
okay, we'll take it easy.
It's a little spicy. We might have to smooth this out at some point.
I think that's probably worthy.
Yeah. I like the path
it's,
you took though up the edge of the mountain. I think that's sick. Like it's really
just trying to keep it like pretty and authentic feeling. But
no, it's a cool path,
you know,
but it's a spicy corner for sure.
if I had spent more time on it and attempted to like use the circle mode and figure that out a little better, definitely could have made it pretty and also functional. But you know, as anyone who's ever watched me play this game, they should not be surprised by this alignment that I've come up with. So, you know.
No, I think all we need to do really is like smooth out some of these corners and then redraw the straights between them.
Yeah, I think, and that shouldn't be hard because now we've got like nodes placed. We have
exactly.
the different track pieces and now it's going to be really easy to kind of like section by section send out the maintenance away MOW crew and get things fixed.
Yeah. Just a normal, inter-episode episode.
Precisely. Look,
Where
and magically the
Heist
track's
and I
amazing.
hang out for an hour and fix track, and nobody knows it happened.
Pretty much.
That's usually how it goes. I love the fact that the groundwork places at the same time as rail. It just saves you so much time and effort.
You used to take 3 passes at least to make your alignment.
Yeah.
4 if you scouted, right? You'd scout, you'd cut down the trees, you'd lay the groundwork, you'd lay the track, and then inevitably, if you were me, you'd have to lay the track again.
Yeah. For me, it was always like I would lay groundwork, and then I would, as like a scout pass, I would use the groundwork as a scout pass to make sure like the inclines aren't ridiculous, and then delete all the trees that were in the way of the groundwork, delete all the groundwork, replace all the groundwork, replace all the track, and then it's like, oh my god,
Yeah, just so much work. But now it's like you cut down the trees, and if you know the path, you cut down the trees in the path that you want to take, and then you place the track, and the track and the groundwork go together. And maybe with the embankment tool, maybe we'll have to like try that and see how it works in the mountain, and maybe there'll be another pass, but it does save a ton of time.
They have a lot more bridges too. I forgot. They've got all the... Yeah,
are we
this I want to make
the log pond or to the freight depot?
No, all the way to the freight depot, I think, right?
Freight depot.
You want to sell this for cash so that next episode you can afford an engine or something, right?
That's right. Well, yeah, that would be that. Yeah, that's probably smart.
Let me see. What are the?
At least you used to get cash at the log pond too, though. But I think for the first delivery, I think the freight depot is appropriate.
So there's a Class 48, which is $3,500. There's the Porter 2, which is $3,200. Yeah, the 060. Yeah. There's a Montezuma, which is $2,500. So you could definitely afford that after.
Oh yeah,
delivery.
Montezuma, the speedy boy. I hope Montezuma's fast.
There's a Glenbrook. It's another new engine. A Climax. Oh no, that's Climax old. Heistler's old. Ooh, they redid the Heistler though. It looks sick.
Yeah, and then there should be a T-boiler Shay as well.
There's a Shay, yeah, T-boiler Shay. The Cook Bogo DRG, and that's it. Wow, that's so cool.
And remember the DNRG Class 70 is the old version of one of the engines I have at my museum.
Yeah.
Denver and Rio Grande Western number 346, which is actually getting a huge overhaul right now.
Well, so what we're gonna do at the freight depot at some point in time at the freight depot, I'm gonna set up a drag strip, 2 parallel lines that run perfectly next to each other, so we can drag race trains and actually do straight comparisons between train engines. Because I feel like that now that there's no max speed, I feel like that would be a cool thing to check out.
I'm really hoping that's the case. The Porter is definitely the same speed it was, but the
it's
Porter
got no
was already
wheels.
at like its real speed, so yeah.
This is all just downhill, so it's got no weight restriction really.
Yeah, exactly. Downhill or flat. There was a couple surprise sections of downhill because I didn't realize how.
Slow down for a second. I'm gonna flick this switch.
Woo! Brakes!
Oh god, I'm not outrunning you. That's the problem.
I'm trying. I am now moonwalking.
Did I get it? I got it. Holy cow! I barely got it. We're good.
Precision railroading. Right
that was
there.
close. I think
Well
the
done.
switch might have gone through a wheel. I'm just saying.
It's fine. It's fine. We're on the rails. Nobody died.
Yeah, I just
It's
wanted to
fine.
try the loop, because we haven't,
We gotta see this loop.
Yeah.
We gotta appreciate real track work.
Yeah.
For everyone who's watching my POV hasn't seen good track yet. So.
This is like perfectly straight too. This is perfectly flat, perfectly. Well, my plan is on this whole straight section here. I want to just put a massive shunt yard. Just could be in both directions, even like left and right. Although we run into a little bit of a hill on the right side here. But
I'm getting a little first person action going on.
Oh, nice.
I want to feel it. I want to see the straightness from the cab.
Yeah. No, I want to build this out as a huge shunt yard here on this side. And then of course we're going to need lines for like the fuel. We're going to need fuel.
Yep.
And I feel like with this playthrough, because there's 2 of us, we could actually have, if we have enough of a shunting area at the log camp, we could park trains at the log camp that do nothing but run logs to the sawmill and never have to come back to the freight depot,
I think that's the move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Store the log bunks there and then just shuttle those.
Yeah. We'll need more too, because I think these are also for oil barrels or something, or pipes.
Yes.
Or
Yeah. Pipes, I think, go on these.
But either way, I feel like we should have trains stored more locally. Like we could have trains at the smelter that never go anywhere but the iron ore mine and coal mine, and stuff like that.
Real precision and like unit trains of commodities and real
Exactly.
efficient stuff because we're engineers and that's what we do. We solve problems practically.
All right, we need to swap because you need to unload.
Oh yeah, right. Well, you're in my company though, right?
Yeah, but is that gonna work if I unload, or is it gonna give you the money, or is it?
I read something on the patch notes, the last patch, that they finally fixed the being in locomotive money glitch. So
Okay.
let's try one car and see what happens.
All right, it says employer heist. I only have $200. I'm level 3 though.
I have 2,000.
Okay.
I'm in the engine and I've got the brake on so that we are slowing down to the platform. Just unload the one and I guess we'll see what it does.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Unloading. My money is not going up, or my
Okay.
experience.
Okay, and now I pop out and I press P. I have $2,060.
Okay, there we go. So let's unload all these.
Yeah. That's awesome. That was a bug that was really annoying for
And
the
you got
longest
more
time.
XP then. You're getting XP from these too.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's how that works. I've run the engine out of fuel. I should probably reload it at some
It
point.
doesn't matter. We're good. We're good. You don't need to fuel it up. We're good.
That's fine.
That's all we needed.
Just unload the car.
Okay, how much do you have? How much money do you got? You got close, right?
I got it. So we had 7 cars, right? So it's got to be, dude, 2420. We need $80.
240, 20. Yeah, I figured we were gonna be a little short. Uh-oh. How much do we need for? Wait, hold on. What do we need for
Dude,
locomotives?
2,500 for the Montezuma, right?
I don't. Oh my God! You can paint the car colors. What?
What?
There's 7 different car colors for the flat cars.
Oh my goodness. Really?
Yeah, I just left them at the default. There's like a beige. There's. Oh my God, that's cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that got added. That's all. You can have a lot of these are like actual historical colors.
So we
from
can have
different
cars
railroads.
for different colors depending on what we're hauling. That's so great.
I love that.
Oh, the hopper only has one paint color. The tanker has multiple ones. Boxcar.
The boxcar's even got like a cute red version with white trim.
Well, anyway, we gotta fix some track regardless. So, I think we'll be able to
fix some track.
fix some
We
track.
gotta
get more money.
We can run one more train in the off season, and then we'll come back with the speedy boy, the Zuma.
Yeah, we'll come back in the next episode and get the Montezuma and deliver. Well, more logs, I guess. That's all we're really doing.
That is the name of the game for the next while.
But yeah, next while is just going to be delivering logs. But yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you want to see more Railroads Online, of course, let us know in the comments down below. Check out Heist's channel, link in the description. And we'll see y'all next time.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody.
Bye!
Bye!